So what we want to do is look at kind of how you could construct thesis statements. And so pull out a sheet of paper here. And if you were to say, do some searching around on how to write a thesis statement, mostly they'd give you terribly useful advice. Be sure it's clear. Be sure it is very clear. Be sure it's as clear as it needs to be. And concise, but also complete. So make it good. That's what I found. And of course, that's pretty fuzzy, actually, isn't it? I mean, have you ever written something and you read it and you thought, well, that makes sense to me. And then someone else read it and said, this isn't quite clear. Have you had that experience? Happens to me all the time. My initial reaction, of course, is, well, what's your problem? It was clear when I thought it, it was clear when I wrote it, and it should be clear to you. But, we do get kind of attached to that. But I did come across kind of a nice little model for constructing thesis statements that I think would be very helpful for you in the future. And so it can be called kind of the although I think because plan. However, we don't like to use the word I in academic writing so much. I will tell you that attitudes change over time, and it seems as though for a long time people wrote, I think, I believe, I feel, in my opinion, because they didn't want to come across as being overly knowledgeable, overly assertive. It's just a gentler way, right? And most of you have siblings, right? And when you order them around, it doesn't go so well often, right? You say, you should do that now. And if you soften it up and say, in my opinion, you should do that now, it's softer. So for a while, there was that kind of let's use this first person expression to be kinder and gentler and softer. But it is a little bit weaker, right? So then we moved into this phase where everyone said, don't use I in academic writing. Don't say I think, I feel, I believe, in my opinion, because basically nobody cares what you think, what you feel, what you believe, or what your opinion is. Just give the facts. Make a statement. Tell what you think as if it were indeed absolutely true. So that's more powerful. But now there's kind of a swing back. And some people believe that the use of the first person is less confrontational. And if we need to get along, we maybe need to soften our writing. So I can't give you an absolute idea as to whether you always should or always should not use the word I in your academic writing. Probably the best way to go is default, meaning unless someone indicates otherwise, avoid it. Stay more formal, stay more authoritative. However, if you get into a class, you have a teacher, professor, or you're writing for someone, and they tell you, that's too assertive, then you might soften it up and use that I think, I feel, I believe, in my opinion. But essentially, when you say what you think, you're making some kind of claim, right? What we might call an assertion. In fact, there is a book on classical rhetoric called The Office of Assertion, which is kind of an odd name, odd title, but it's saying when you write something, you're taking on a responsibility, right? An office. And your responsibility is to make an assertion and then support it, of course, with good logic, good research, reasoning, examples, evidence, all that stuff. So we might call this the although, assertion, because. Why although? Well, unless it's something pretty obvious to everyone, there may be differing opinions, right? And so if you start with the although, you can give a little bit of validity to the other opinion, right? So, although I know you're tired, I do think it would be best if you do your chores now, before our parents get home, since I'm not going to do them for you, right? Okay, so you soften it up by saying, yes, I feel your pain, right? I understand the opposing view. So that idea then is that you can kind of put that in there somewhere, right? You can also reverse it, right? And you could say, I think you should do your chores, although I know you're tired, because if we don't get all of our chores done, the parents won't be happy, right? So you can mix up the order a little bit, but these components help you to craft a thesis statement that is both gentle and pointed. The problem is you don't want to get too formulaic, and you don't want everything to sound the same. So what we could look at is, what are some options to saying although? So help me figure out a few here. If you wanted to say although, but use different words, a different expression, what could you come up with? Any ideas? Noah? While. Good. So instead of although, you might try using the word while. While some people believe this, right? Grant? Whereas. That might work. Sounds kind of legalese too, right? All those legal contracts often. Whereas the first part and the party, the second part, agree to. Since. Since is actually going to fit better over on the because side. So you think, I will clean up the room since I want my mother to be happy, right? So that would probably work as a substitute there. Any other all those? Yes?
Despite.
Despite. That's one of my favorite prepositions, Nathan. In fact, if you were to use the word despite in a paper, and if I were grading it, which I don't like to do, but of course, but if I were, I just get a little smile with despite. Now, you know that about me, but not everybody's like me. Some people may despise the word despite, but it's there. Despite the fact that we always say Alexander the Great, it's possible his greatness was highly over-exaggerated because, or whatever, right? I don't know. You're doing the research. I'm just speculating. What else could you use here? Although, while, whereas, despite. However, yes, there's a good one. And of course, with however, it would be likely you'd reverse the position, right? So, or maybe not. I know that you're tired. However, we really do have to get this place cleaned up. Maybe I'm thinking about this very idea of getting the house cleaned up because I have grandchildren visiting at the moment. So, however, how about over here on the side of because? Are there any other expressions that could substitute in for because? I will go because I will go.
As?
Yeah, possibly. Since or as. Yes?
If.
If. It's not a direct correlation, but it could fit in sometimes, couldn't it? We could understand that Alexander was not so great if we look at, and then you would elaborate. Yeah, that's not a direct synonym, but I think it could possibly work in some cases, not all. Another one that is used more colloquially, although you do see it in writing, is due to. Have you ever heard that expression? Yes. Due to the fact. I do know one teacher in particular who does not like this, but you see it, you read it. Sometimes you may get the expression so that as well. So you'll probably come up with some various ways to make kind of a combination or permutation of some of these expressions. So the trick on the thesis statement is to start with the question and then change it into an assertion, right? So I had some fun making up a few possible, not terribly important questions. I've started with the most stereotypical question you could possibly ask students to write a persuasive piece on, or an argumentative piece. Which makes a better pet for children, dog or cat? Now, how would we use this formula to change that into a statement? All right, Grant.
Wow, cats are terrible. I think dogs are the best because they're loyal.
Okay, you just said, while cats are terrible, I think dogs are the best because they're loyal. It doesn't quite accomplish the goal of the although part. The goal of the although part is to allow the people who have the other view a feeling of comfort before you make your assertion. You've kind of made a double assertion there. So let's try something a little different then. What would be a positive thing about cats? I know it's hard, but stretch your imagination. Allie?
Although cats are cuddly, dogs are kinder for kids.
Okay, so although cats are cuddly, dogs are better for kids because they are kinder. Okay, so that would follow the formula, do you see? Now, one thing that you can do, you don't have to do it, but you can do it, is you can sneak your topics into your thesis statement. Now, the upside of that is that you just got your topics listed and now you can just relax, right? 2 things in your introduction, done. The downside is it might make too long or cumbersome of a thesis statement. If we included the topics, and there were 3 of them, how might it go? Although cats are cuddly, dogs are better for kids because they are, now you need 3.
Kind, loyal, and energetic.
Energetic. So kind, loyal, and energetic. So you could put that right in. Now, your reader knows exactly what to expect, right?